Well, this is Marshall, and we're back on with Amber. Amber, this your third time with us doing your Nibiru or Planet X observation videos, and I'm really looking forward to this one because you've been experimenting.
Hi, Marshall. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. One of the things that I have to mention straight off is that this is a male-dominated topic. When I see demographics, it's typically 70% of my site visitors are men. But what I am finding is my best observation videos are coming from women, not men. Men just kind of, oh, I got it, one off, one trick pony, throw it over the transom, here you go, what do you think? Whereas women come at it more methodically, more attention to detail, they're more patient. They also, when I ask them if they'll do something a certain way, they're about 10 times more likely than guys. You know, guys like, well, you know, women will try it. If it works, great. And if it doesn't, well, it didn't work. And so I'm really, after all these years of being in a male-dominated topic, I find it delightful and interesting that women just have this kind of patience and attention to detail that you have and the others that I've been getting reports from. And as we get into this, I want to start with an observation from the 5th of this month, November. And the reason why I want to start with this one is to explain to my viewers that you're making observations in very different conditions all of the time. Exposure, field of view, zoom, sky haze, chemtrailing. The number of environmental issues change considerably. And this, of course, if you had artifacts or aberrations, would cause situations where you're creating a consistent lens flare. However, lens flares move around. That's it. I don't care, you know, this thumb test, finger test, all this crazy nonsense. If it's a flare or an aberration, it does the hoochie coochie. If it's a natural object in space, it's just going to stay there relative to the sun or to the horizon or to the ecliptic, however we're viewing it. So with this in mind, what I want to do is start off and have you talk my viewers through your November 5th observation.
Okay.
Amber, what are my viewers seeing right now?
Well, this is from my porch. Most of the videos that I do are either from my porch or my driveway. And this is looking in a westerly direction. And I believe that it's probably within about an hour and a half before sunset. An hour to an hour and a half, roughly. And as you can see, I believe it's gotten a slightly darker. That's because I've turned on the auto exposure, autofocus lock.
Right.
And when I zoom in, you can see that second object pretty clearly.
There you go. Yeah, we zoom in and there you see it. And I find what was really interesting about this as we watch this, how the clouds are moving in front of the object. And this has always been one of the things that we've used as a test to eliminate lens flares, because if something moves in front of an object of interest, then that is a natural light reflecting or emitting object. With a lens flare, lens flares happen just in front of the camera or inside the camera lens body itself. Here, I Here, I took 3 captures. This is for frames 668, 1600, and 2868. And I think this really gives us a good view because we have 3 different fields of view, zoom settings. And when we go to the gamma on these 3, wow, do you really see a difference? And in the third one to the right, number 2868, when we do the gamma, if you get in close to it, it really does, you can see the cloud, the wisp of the cloud moving in front of the object. Going back to our very first video that we did, Amber, at that time you described how you got into this observing Planet X because you actually saw something with your own 2 eyes, and you were seeing it not once but several times, and that's what piqued your interest. Do us a favor and quickly just run my viewers through your path of discovery that brought you to this work.
Well, a few years ago, my sister had turned me on to your work and Nibiru. And this past June, we had a tornado. And of course, all summer long, I was basically outside cleaning up from the tornado. And I started paying quite a bit of attention to the sky, looking at the sun. I noticed, for a long time, I couldn't see anything clearly. I would snap videos, snap pictures, and nothing was ever clear. I thought that I could see a little bump on the sun. I think that's how I referred to it, as the sun wasn't perfectly round like it normally would be. And evening, I was out actually walking my dog, and it was 2 distinct objects up there. And so that's when I started recording the video and sent that one to you. And you confirmed what I thought that it was. And here we are.
All right. That is the path of discovery. And it's interesting how acclimated we are to the skies that we have now. For someone my age, I remember blue skies. I remember beautiful blue skies, white fleecy clouds. Golly gee. So I'm showing my age.
All summer long, we had beautiful skies, except for an occasional bad weather day. But,
that's right.
But until, what was it? I guess in September, things started changing.
Well, to be honest with you, I became aware of chemtrails, or geoengineering spraying, as we're supposed to use the politically correct term now. I call it chemtrails. Now we'll stick with that. And I first got into this in the late 90s. I was aware of it back then. But that was when nobody was talking about it. And anybody who did, your life would be destroyed. So today I really feel very blessed that we have people speaking up about it, particularly Dane Wigington. I think he does an excellent job over at Geoengineering Watch. He's really, he's carrying forth on that very well. And one of the things that you did, I asked you about this, and so you were looking at chemtrails in your area, and just so that people get an idea of how thick it gets there, what I'd like you to do is talk my viewers through this little snippet that you sent me, okay?
Okay.
Now, where is this?
This is actually in Paintsville, Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
I was visiting with my sister, and I got ready to leave one morning, and as I was loading my car, I saw this amazing sky up there, this amazing crosshatch pattern in the sky.
By the way, I took this particular still capture from that video. How many jets were spraying you that day?
4. I stood in the driveway and counted. There was one leading the way, then there were 2 flying side by side, and then 1 following the 2 that were spraying.
Misery loves company.
Yeah.
Well, with this Kentucky observation of mine, you sent me a video that was for November 12th, and I believe you captured this in Clarksburg. And this is absolutely stunning in terms of the chemtrail that you have. And if anyone tells me that's condensation, I would just refer you to a good cannabis clinic. Uh, you know, because you're smoking something. What I want to do is I'm going to bring this up and have you walk my viewers through it, because I think this is really, really excellent. So here we go. And this is from the 12th of November. And my God, is that one hell of a thick chemtrail.
Yes. That's actually looking south. Not quite midday, maybe roughly around midday, but not quite. Yeah, I was standing out in my yard, and I just thought I'd try to capture that, maybe see if I could see anything behind the sun.
For the viewers out there, tell me if condensation has a sawtooth pattern on the bottom edge. I don't think so. But this is a good example of how chemtrails really do make it difficult to make these Planet X observations.
Mm-hmm.
So here are the 3 captures that I took from this video. I thought they were pretty representative. And these are frames 101, 749, and 1785. And when you look at the first 2 to the left, if you were just glancing up at the sky, you wouldn't notice anything. But the third to the right, that is where you zoomed in. And even with the chemtrail spraying, once you've zoomed in, you can still see the object of interest. And I think that's important because human eye does not zoom. When we look at this in gamma analysis, I think that the obstruction of chemtrails in terms of viewing the planet really stands out under gamma analysis. And here you see in the first 2 to the left where if you didn't know to look for it, you wouldn't see it. Whereas in the third to the right, when you're zoomed in, there it is. It stands right up. And also we can see the typical blue shift of the lens flare down in here. You know, Amber, this poses a question. Is the extent of the obstruction from chemtrailing, is this something where you would have good days, bad days, like Johnny Carson used to say, hills and valleys, or does it happen even more frequently?
I would say that now, since I've really been doing this the last few months, and I'm out there sometimes every day checking, I would say bad days than good days now. However, there have been times when I will go out there and do an observation, and within 15 minutes, I go back out to do another observation, and the object is obscured because of the chemtrails.
Wow. So there's definitely been a significant uptick in the amount of chemtrail activity in your area since the videos.
Yeah.
Or would it be possible to attribute it to you just being more aware? Or is there more?
I believe that there's been an uptick in the chemtrails. I mean, granted, I've noticed chemtrails, before.
Mm-hmm.
this. For years, I've noticed them, but
Okay.
nothing compared to what I see from day to day.
Okay.
They're
So,
constantly.
yeah, well, this is consistent with what a lot of other people are telling us. I get this all the time. Now, what I want to do is move forward to something I think that's tremendously interesting. And we're always looking to prove that the object of interest is not a lens flare. And the easiest way to do that is something moves in front of it. A bird flies in front of it, a cloud moves across it, covers it up. We saw a little bit of that earlier in this video. But here we are talking the mother of all smoking guns. How else can I say it? And after you had given me these two videos for November the 24th, I had asked you to go and just take a picture of the field of view, but at high noon so we could get an idea of it. So let's go ahead for my viewers and let's set this up so they can see actually the nap of the earth, the terrain that is in front of the camera. So walk my viewers through this. Where are you looking at from your house? In what direction?
I'm standing on my porch and I'm looking west.
Excellent. And here, this is a still extract that I took from this video. Now, the reason why I wanted to extract that one frame of the tree line is that we're going to set it in a side-by-side comparison with the next two videos that you shot that are stunning in terms of smoking gun proof that you're not looking at a lens flare. So let's get to the first one. By the way, you took both of these on the Thanksgiving Day, as I understand.
I believe so.
Okay. And so now this is the third of the four videos you submitted for that day. Walk my viewers through it.
This is me standing on my porch looking west. The sun is setting, and you can see that second object in the 11 o'clock. It's partially, slightly obscured by the trees.
That's right. Now, with the movement of the trees, you're moving your camera, obviously, because you're handheld. What was the wind that day? Were the trees moving?
I don't remember a lot of wind that particular day. Of course, that is up on a ridge.
Okay. So there's always going to be some degree of movement of the trees as the wind is coming up over the ridge. All right, now let me show you the extracts that I did. And here we have extracts from number 178, 972, and 2304. And I thought this was a pretty good representation from this video of movement and how even slight it can be from your camera movement, and yet we're seeing the trees moving, and I can definitely see a difference in the trees moving. However, this really becomes noticeable once we go to gamma analysis. And here in gamma analysis, you really can see in the first one to the left, you can see the tree branch, another in the middle that is encroaching on the right side, and then on the third to the right, you're seeing where two branches are creating somewhat of a V shape in the object of interest. So that was the first video, actually the third of four videos you shot on Thanksgiving. Wow. On Thanksgiving, that is dedication. That is dedication.
Maybe all those pilots were on vacation that day and there wasn't that much spraying. Yeah.
Ooh, that is tricky. I like it. All right. Well, let's look at our second one from that day. Now, here's the fourth of four observations that day. Is this from behind a window?
No, this is actually on my porch.
Okay. And as before, we can see the lens flares doing the hoochie coochie, as I call it. They're dancing all the way around, but there's a lot of flaring that comes off. But I think you're right. Looking at this one, I'm seeing a much clearer sky than normally you get to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with this, let me go to the captures. And here we did captures on frames 514, 1393, and 1836. This is interesting for me because of the trees you can see blocking the object. But when you go to the gamma analysis, then it really becomes much more visible with the obstructions. Particularly if you look at the first one, you can see a tree branch that's encroaching into the object of interest. And on the one in the center, which is going to be frame 1393, see it encroaching to the lower right-hand quadrant, whereas in the third one, which is frame 1836, you can see it's underneath pretty much the object of interest. But one thing is clearly visible here is that the trees are blocking the view of the object.
Yes.
Well, between those two videos on Thanksgiving Day, nice point you made. Chemtrail pilots get to have national holidays. What a thinking.
That was the first thought because the sky was so clear that day.
Yeah. I never would have thought of that in a million years. Honest to God. I really thought that was cool.
All those folks out there, who are eager to see if they can find Nibiru, wait to national holidays and, point your camera.
Gosh, on one hand, it's absolutely logical. On the other hand, it just kind of goes to how bizarre this topic can be sometimes. And then now in this last video that we're going to show, I really felt that this was very unique because here you're doing, you have a very heavy cloudy day and you put on the eclipse glasses on top of that. So if there's something that's going to cut down on light, this is really going to make a big difference. And I want to get into this because of all of the videos, this actually was my favorite. And Amber, here's our last video. This is from November 25. Walk my viewers through it.
It's kind of more of the same thing. Me standing on my porch, pointing the camera in the west right before sunset. There's quite a bit of cloud coverage that day.
Yeah, but here, did you put the eclipse shades over the lens?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have haze. We have, because the chemtrail pilots are not on vacation today. So we have haze, we have chemtrails, we have clouds, and we have your eclipse viewing glasses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at the stills. And here I have three captures, frames 358, 712, and 723. Now, 358 is where I immediately noticed cloud movement in front of the object of interest. But it may be a little difficult for folks to see and think it could be cloud reflection instead of obstruction. However, after you've put on the eclipse viewing glasses, here in the second and third ones, so 712 and 723, we're still seeing the object of interest. You can see the heavy cloud cover, which, by the way, at times just totally obstructs even the sun. And when we go to gamma, here's where it really gets fun. In the gamma, the first one to the left, 358, I can definitely see the halo of the cloud, the glow, that is in front of the object. So now we have trees in front of the object of interest, and we have a cloud passing in front of the object of interest. But when we look at the other two to the right, number 712 and 723, this is where you have eclipse viewing glasses, haze, chemtrail, everything. Everything that should make it impossible for this thing to show up, it still shows up. And what's particularly interesting with the two frames to the right, 712 and 723, is that even the lens flares, which will stay up during gamma analysis, they could not stay on these images. The lens flares disappeared as well. And this is something that I noticed throughout on this video. So these are your observations for November of 2017. And Amber, you just knocked that out of the ballpark.
I'm trying, but it's not that easy anymore.
Well, you know.
They're making me work really hard.
Yeah, they're going to want to do that. They're known to do that, absolutely, over the years. But persistence pays off, and in your case, it's pleasant persistence. And I think that's really good. So what are you planning to do for the rest of this year and then going into 2018?
Well, I'm going to try to keep looking. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, and I don't know how much more original I could get.
You never know. You know, it's interesting. You're evolving, you're finding, you're experimenting with things. I guess next time around, it'd be interesting if you had somebody standing beside you with their own smartphone getting the same video.
That is an idea.
Yeah, but with a different brand and model. Yeah, so that you would have Android and iPhone. Of course, then the question's going to be are the two cameras using the same, are the two smartphones using the same cameras? But we'll just have to sort through that and cross that bridge when we come to it. But in the meantime, Amber, you've done a beautiful job for November 2017. We've got some smoking gun footage here. Kudos to you. And I look forward to your next time coming on.
Thank you, Marshall.